Ukraine and Russia have a long history together, dating back to the inception of Ukraine itself. Ukraine was a part of the Soviet Union up until the 24th of August 1991, when the country declared sovereignty. Because of this, Ukraine has deep social and cultural ties with Russia. Russian language is spoken very widely throughout Ukraine. There are even places within Ukraine where people are mainly pro-Russia and are against Ukrainian sovereignty. These groups have been labeled as rebels amongst the Ukrainian people as they are a threat to Ukrainian independence. Since Ukraine is such a young country, it's impossible to counter Russia's influence on its culture, a culture which dates back hundreds if not thousands of years. Instead, the European Union is doing that job for Ukraine by implementing Western liberal values and providing ideological support to Ukraine by opposing the Russian culture. However, Ukraine isn't the only country which shares a lot of its culture with Russia. So why is Russia specifically targeting Ukraine? Well, firstly, Ukraine is a very powerful geographical position as it borders on both Western Europe and Russia. However, more interestingly, Ukraine is rich in natural gases, with trillions of cubic meters of natural gases across the country. Russia is one of the largest exporters of natural gases across Europe, with 35% of the EU's natural gas supply coming straight out of Russia. However, with the discovery of the staggering amount of natural gases stored away in Ukraine, and with Ukraine granting companies like Shell and Exxon exploration and drilling rights, it seemed like Russia was about to get some heavy competition. Considering that the EU is very much against Russia's culture, this created a very big threat to Russia's exportation of natural gases, as Ukraine could now do the same thing as Russia, and the EU would no longer have to deal with Russia. However, these discoveries were made in 2012, so why is Russia invading now? Well, when these discoveries were made, Ukraine was under the rule of Viktor Yanukovych, who was pro-Russian and did not want to interfere with Russia's supply of natural gases to the rest of Europe. However, in 2014, the Revolution of Dignity occurred in Ukraine, which ended Yanukovych's presidency, and the more pro-West Petro Poroshenko took his place. 2014 was also the same year in which Russia annexed Crimea, seizing all of its natural gas mines in the process. This was a large victory for Russia, right? I mean, the sea surrounding Crimea contained 80% of Ukraine's offshore natural gases. The issue is, prior to Russia's annexation, the majority of Crimea's freshwater supply came from Ukraine via the North Crimea Canal. However, after 2014, Ukraine blocked off the canal with cement, and the peninsula has been slowly becoming uninhabitable since. Well, why doesn't NATO or the United States help? Although the European Union and the United States have been known to support Ukraine, Ukraine is not formally included in the European Union or NATO. This is not due to Ukraine's unwillingness to join. The Ukrainian public is very much in favor of joining the European Union and NATO. It is more so due to the fact that the EU does not want Ukraine to join, as it would mean a lot of Ukrainians will migrate to different EU nations simply due to better job opportunities, which is something that the European Union may not necessarily want. NATO also has no interest in having Ukraine join them anytime soon, as that would mean that all NATO troops would have to go to the Ukrainian front lines and most likely begin a full-scale war with Russia. So Ukraine seems to be alone in this invasion, and despite the people around the world protesting for the EU and NATO aiding Ukraine, this may be the best course of action, as intervention by NATO could lead to a conflict that will be far greater in scope than just Ukraine. Remember to like and subscribe.